Well, hey folks, what's going on? Let's see. We're gonna do some artwork this morning. So give me a second here to check my signal, make sure that we're coming through. I'm gonna do some really fast social media posts, and then we're going to get to work. So we've been building architecture, painting for Atur Academy in the Eberron campaign setting. So yeah. We're doing detail work today. We figured out the structure with the proper proper perspective. We've got our environment that it's sitting in. It's looking pretty. So I think we're going to be able to do okay. So almost done with my social media posts, and then we'll get to work. So clickety clickety. My name's Phil Kearney. Hey, what's up? I create role-playing games. I illustrate them. I design games, I illustrate them, and then I publish them online. There you go. I've been focusing on Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, using 2024 game mechanics for this adventure, Crystals of Mabar. It's for characters 7th and 8th level using the D&D rules. So if you think this stuff is cool, and you like today's episode, consider liking, subscribing, hitting the bell icon for notifications when we're live in the future. Here's a bunch of links for books that I've already created. They all have free previews. Be welcome to explore my ideas thoroughly and decide if you want to invest in my creation. And Bob be your uncle. So let me drop this down here and then jump over to here. Book cover we made. Let's get this out of the way. Here's the current project that we're on. And we're doing detail work. That's right. So let's get into it here and here. Let's see. It's about 6:30 here in Seattle. I've got about an hour and a half. I'm going to be on later on today at lunchtime working on we're going to continue building athletes for Strixhaven's Mage Tower. I stream Monday through Friday in the morning, and then on Mondays and Thursday nights like last night, and Tuesday and Friday afternoons like today, I do game design. Currently for 5e, it could be other game systems in the future, but 5e is where it is the home of Magic the Gathering, which is the other IP, major IP that Wizards of the Coast owns. And so I'm going to grab here. I bet that's going to be okay. Yeah, we're going to use this currently to build frames. So let's see, what do we need to do? We're doing detail work, right? So what we want to do is use that as a guideline. Adding details is just a matter of including more and more simple line art, or just very like detail is a sequence of simple additions that over time bulk up to become something significant. So currently we're, let's see, we're probably gonna have to use a lot of curvy stuff. So let's go into the body here. Where's my button? Where's the details? There it is. Thank you. We're going to start here. Oh, I see what the problem is. Is that this is curving and this isn't curving. I'm like, why isn't this thing making sense? It's because it's using different rules over here than it's using over here. This is a straight edge. This is a curved edge. With where this is at, Okay. That makes sense. Is this maybe the solution is a lot easier than I thought it would be. Is that the right way to do this? Hold on. We have to figure out the physics here real fast. Because it's curving, and this is the front portion, so this is going to be partially in front of this. So I can't use this tower here specifically. Okay, what I need to do is resize this to be right about like that. Is that where it would supposed to... Oops. That doesn't feel right. Hold on. The proportions might be... That's not the right word. Like proportion, the angle, like the curvature of the structure. It's a round structure. I mean, I feel this would be less pronounced over here compared to over here. Let's get rid of our foliage there so we have a more clear look on this. Seriously, get out of the way. Thank you. Like, almost like this should be squinched. That feels too... Like if that were there, that it feels like that would mean that like this would be here to even out the distancing on stuff. But that's, we have the ribs here properly defining proportional distance, and so we can see here with the radial symmetry. If this is 0.1, then this is, if this is 0 point, there should be 3 of these ribs between this tower and this tower. But as it's depicted right now, this tower is more like right here. So it's squinching into the space. So what I need to do is, oh, that's what I need to do. Okay, I can do that. I can go here, I can go click. I can find the right ratio here for this curve to match this curve to make sure we have our distancing correct on that front. Double checking here. Man, this stuff is difficult. There. So this needs to be behind the structure, but I need to have this straight edge. This straight edge here, and then this curve here needs to remain in place. Murph. So I have the. All right, so let's ignore the towers for now. Maybe the details will help us find where the towers are supposed to be. What are you on about? Thank you. This is gonna work out. I'm angry at how poor I am at judging how long it's going to take to complete a task. If I could change anything about myself, I'd say that would be number one. If I'm doing this properly, now that I have a chance to be a little bit more critical about the process. Strip all that away. Here. Do I want, am I supposed to? I wonder, am I supposed to shear this off? Like that? It would kind of infer that I'm supposed to. So now this curve here would be defined by the towers that are flanking it. Bump, 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 like that. That jives. That jives. This no longer jives because that curve isn't being preserved. Let's delete that. This is an interesting challenge. Like that line, that curve there, that makes sense over here. But that is being defined by this. So let's assume it's correct. And we have that much of a lip between the dome and the edge of this wall here that we're looking at. Like that there's like a 10-foot space between this rib and this corner here, right? So we have this little gap here that you could walk along. That makes sense. Let's put the rest of this back in place so that we have it right. Yeah. Okay, so what I think for me to make that work, let's click like this. And then wrong. It's the wrong way to do it. Let's put in a masking layer here, and then let's drop this in like that. And in the masking layer, there, we can do it like that. So it's masked. And then I think this is gonna work. Yeah, there we go. And now we can slide this back behind the building because we already have the edge over here established. That actually makes sense. I think that's going to work. Now, is it too stubby for where it's supposed to be? Hey, Steve, how you doing? Like, is that the right angle? Let's get. Boy, oh boy, I'm mathing the hell out of this one. Put that back to where it was. I'm not convinced yet. I think I'm on the right path, but I don't think I've actually hit the correct answer yet. See, that curve's there. That's matching angles here, but this should have... that might be the right angle. Maybe we can... boy, I'm really thinking out loud at you guys. Don't mind me. What if we were to... Like we want to have this is valid about this space here. That's about right for the distance that we would have away from the lip. I think that's safe. But this amount of space here. Like if that's how much bubble there is here, then this tower is way too shallow, and this is way too shallow. But now this is too shallow. This needs to have a broader curve, I feel like. Maybe what I do is I do a little bit of subtle distortion. Take the tower and elongate it, so I'm getting more of a curve here that I can mask with. Because this tower is going to be behind the structure instead of flanking it here. So that almost feels right, not quite though. Okay, I think I'm on the right path. How about there? I bet that feels... not so bad. Let's try that. There, let's try that. Transform. Reduce the size. Add the trees back in for proper proportion placement. That's looking better now. We can bring that in so that this line here isn't pushing up too far. We need to remove the trees again here so we can see through here. This is going to be like back here like that because of the structure's getting in front of itself. So we have one here, we got another rib that's like here, got like another rib here. So yeah, the last rib would be here, which is where the center point. So we might not actually see this back tower like at all. That might. Like that feels wrong. That feels like a tripod, not a square. God, the visuals are difficult. Let's see. It's flip. Okay, so that curve there can account for the foreshortening here, but this is camera facing. This, no, because if there was another tower here, this would be equidistant here and here. So this being clipped like that is appropriate because it'd be similarly clipped on the other side. So maybe we need to push this bottom tower. Oops. That feels too squished. Maybe that's gonna just have to be the way that it is. The height of the curve, that's where it needs to be. There. All right, we're just gonna have to accept that curve. That God, it feels wrong. Like that feels like it's going like that's like this. Is that really how sharp? That's not inaccurate. Okay, I'm just gonna have to trust the perspective. Let's just focus here, and then we'll just hyper squish over here. Hey, Steve. Yeah, we're just gonna have to trust that it maths out properly. And if I was a 3D model renderer, I could make a three-dimensional object of this and then get it into the right position that I want, and I wouldn't have to question the architecture at all. But that is not the kind of artist that I am. So, cheers. Yeah, we're just gonna have to trust that this is in the right place. So, let's see. Paste. Merge those down like that. Merge these down like that. Merge those down like that. saying things like, we'll clean it up later is risky business, because if I have a flaw built into these things from the bounce, the whole thing's going to end up being flawed. We're attempting to make symmetrical patterns on a curved surface, which is not an easy task. So we're gonna have to accept flaw in this process. But hopefully, if everything goes well, we'll be able to add in a decent amount of just detail without having to think about it too hard. Fit that in there. Oops. Get that in place like this. What's up? Hey, Rel, how you doing, my guy? How you been? Block that in. Oops. Block that in. Get rid of the extra line. Oh, super. Enjoy the blistering, my friend. I'm sure it's well earned. All right, so we've got that as a point. Now let's just cut that in half. That is a horrible line. I'm gonna do this for now. I'm just gonna rough it a little bit. We duplicate this, copy paste, and raise it up a little bit. So one story, second story. Let's lift this up a little bit. And then from here, what's going on with my window? Thank you. Had work, had to go shirtless because of the heats, but also enjoyed it. Yeah, right on. Yeah. Manual labor, man. It's salt of the earth. It's good for the soul. Yeah, Academy's looking pretty good so far. This is rough, but we're just for now we're just roughing it in. Like literally just roughing it in so we can see how things sit on the page. Transform. This needs to be skewed down a smidge, like that. Transform. Flip horizontal. Skew. And now perspective. Try not to think too much, Kearney. It's not that important right now. What's more important is just occupying the space, filling it in, to see how things sit. Merge down. Because if the pattern looks decent, we can just do cleanup on all the angles. Right now, I just want to fill. I just want to fill in this space just to see how stuff looks. 1, 2. Merge those. Those. For transform. Flip horizontal. For transform. Perspective. For transform. Skew, squinch, roughly something like that. See, this tiny little sliver here is inferring all the patterning we have on over here, and the foreshortening is taking care of itself. That should work just fine. Yeah, it's all rough. It's roughshod right now, but that's okay. Let's go look at our reference image brought to us by Casa Stereo 89, Patreon Casa Stereo, Instagram Casa Stereo 89. Makes Eberron maps. Check them out. Chunk. I feel like there's like little domes on top of each of these towers we could probably fuck around with once we get there. Nothing really. It's such low resolution. There's nothing really being implied here, which means that I am free to do as I please. There's a little discoloration there, a very mild difference. Okay, cool. Let's leave that be. Don't distract yourself, Kearney. I'll probably work on the angles of this weekend. Like, watching me torture myself over these angles is not necessarily going to be good content. It's real to watch the grind, for sure. There's also me getting sick of working on it, which is a real risk. I work on a number of different types of books to help me from burning out on on this one. This has just been such a monster of a project that if it's the only thing I was ever working on, I would have burned out on it horribly. And just the problem with burnout is if you're having burnout on a particular thing, like a particular task, but you insist, I have to get this task done first, then you procrastinate because you don't want to work on the project that you're supposed to be working on. I don't think I worded that correctly. Let me try that again. You procrastinate because you don't want to work the project that you're supposed to work on, but you don't allow yourself to work on anything else. So the solution that you come up with, don't work on anything at all, because you're honoring that I'm not working on something else. And that literally just means that you're not working on anything. So you just end up wasting your time, doom scrolling, playing a game, even like doing chores when it's not chore time. These are all means of procrastinating from the work that you're supposed to be getting done that you're not inspired or motivated to do. So often what might be a good idea is to just work on something else anyway, because at least you're working on something and getting something done. So in my instance here, I'm talking about potentially working on cleaning up the geometry on these details that we're messing around with. But I could procrastinate working on this by working on page layouts somewhere else inside the book that I need to work on. I could also procrastinate doing page layouts by doing artwork, like working on this piece. So I suspect what will end up happening is I'm going to probably bounce between working on this piece and working on the page layouts that I'm supposed to do, because both of them can be really fucking frustrating. So I can shift gears inside the same product and just switch tasks that I'm performing. They all have to get done. Like, I've got a number of maps that are laid out in the books, but I don't have like the tokens in the battle map, like where the creatures would start, their starting position in those maps. I can provide that information. That's something I can do as a distraction when I'm supposed to be doing something more productive, because I'm going to have to do that eventually anyways. It's a matter of when do I do it, so I can justify the procrastination as this is ultimately a task that has to be performed. I'm doing it now while I have when I don't have the bandwidth to do something else, but I can at least move the ball forward towards completion. See, you can mitigate, you can manage your procrastination, because you're dodging the project because you're overwhelmed by it, or you don't know what to do next, or you're just frustrated, or, burned out. Whatever reason you're procrastinating, just pick another aspect of the thing that you're supposed to be working on and figure out, just list real quick, what are the different things that I need to do that aren't this, and do that instead. So you're at least collapsing your time frames of getting stuff done. I think I need to put this here. So that's how I can handle that's how I handle procrastination. It's just by picking up another project and working on that instead until whatever it is that I'm working on clicks, and I'm like, oh, I can, and then I dive into the other piece. Like, dive back into the project I'm supposed to be working on. Okay, we'll figure out what that is supposed to be when we get there. Merge down. Like, I bet this is actually supposed to be over here more. See, like, this was too skewed over, so now that actually feels more proportionate. Even though it's all slop, it's better proportioned slop. That's actually probably all the detail I would actually end up needing. Yeah, let's cleave those in half. Just all we're doing is just simple shapes. I mean, it's all slop right now. We have to clean up. But for the ideation phase of like what can we do to increase the density of information? Detail is just simple line or simple rendering in patterns and enough density that it fills the space. It creates enough, there's enough pixels information going on inside that space that your eye is like, I'm tired of looking at this. When you get the eye exhausted at looking at the image, like it's looking like you're looking at this mountain and it's like, how much more detail do I need to pull out of that mountain? My eye's tired already. I'm done. I accept that this is a mountain. I accept that this is a mountain. I accept that this is foliage. I want to get my eye to the point where it's just tired of looking at the detail on the building. It just goes, fine, it's detailed. And once you do that, your brain just auto-fills the rest of it for you. It just fills in all the fucking detail on the back end. It's like, fine, whatever, is basically what your brain is saying. And that's where you want to get. So obviously I'm getting into a decent spot. I mean, the proportions here are horrible. But that's not the point right now. The point is to find the right amount of density where when I scale back and look at it, my eye just says, fine, I give up. It's like, great, I need you to give up. It's exactly what we're asking you to do. I need to convince your eye to give up looking for flaws or looking for details. Like, is there enough detail here for you to accept what I'm talking about? And it says, yeah, you proved your point. Okay, great. Well, then I did a good job. I don't need to proof beyond the equation. You know, once the equation works, running the equation with different variables at some point is just whinging. You don't need to do it. I mean, these obviously these are all horrible proportions, but that density there is good. I'm not liking these stripes. I'm not liking those stripes at all. But like this double, like this double pane effect here going on, that's plenty of density. What is something interesting that I could do? I don't know what I'm doing, but it's what I'm doing. Free transform. transform, flip horizontal, resize. Skew the angle. That's wrong, but it's roughly like that. Transform. Flip horizontal. And little whingy details like that, your eye will just give up eventually. So that'll be fine. I'm just gonna merge all this shit down. It's not important right now. This isn't anything important I'm going to keep. This is just building a template, like the ideas of how can we stack up the details to a point of density where your eye just gives up, like we've been talking here. Like base sill. Hey, what's up? How do you feel about the art and art side of the tabletop industry? Is it still not something you can make a living at? Oh God, no. Yeah, absolutely fucking not. Most the only way you can actually make any money in the RPG industry is like full-time job, unless you're grinding 80 hours a week specifically only on making art. Like Pathfinder, like Paizo, you have to grind. Like $800 for a picture is what they're gonna pay you, and so set your income, and then there you go. That's what you need to do. Wizards, I think Wizards is around 2,000, 1,000, or is it 1,000 or is it 2,000? I think it's 1,000 per card. If I was doing land cards, I could pull it off because I can produce land quick enough to be able to earn a living that way. But yeah, virtually all role-playing games art is a loss. If you're going to do art for the RPG industry, you kind of have to just do stock art, and so much stock art that you'll just eventually make money through volume. But that also requires a fuck ton of time. Like that. Let's switch up and look at something. Like this. Yeah, all the art that I do for my book are basically lost leaders. Like me illustrating my book, it's just I love illustrating. I just found a way for me to not have to charge per picture by making my own books. But obviously the amount of time I've invested in creating this particular adventure, I'll never recoup the cost on it. But I don't do it to recoup the cost necessarily. It's something I just have to do. I have a compulsion to create art, and so I'm going to create art whether I like it or not. I'm also obsessed with role playing. So I'm going to design and make games no matter what. I'm compelled to do it. So since I'm kind of stuck here doing these things anyway, I may as well put the two things together. Like art is my role-playing game hobby, and role-playing is my art hobby. They they feed off of each other. What's up? Stock art? You mean piece of art that can be put? Yeah. It's for the love. Yeah, it's for the love. Yeah, stock art is like I'm going to like paint a picture of an elven archer, generic elven archer. If you need to just fill a gap, you could use this elven archer. Or like if you're specifically looking for an archer, maybe this elven archer idea is sufficient for what you need. So you prefabricate the art, not knowing who is going to need it for what when, but you just put it out there for like $1 or $2, and then whoever picks it up, they have a license to use it, so they can include it in their RPG without having to specifically commission you to make that elven archer. I already have an elven archer, so go ahead and just, if this one meets what you need, go ahead and grab it for a little bit of money. But you don't have exclusive rights to it either. Other people can also purchase this elven archer art and use it in their book as well. So you're losing exclusivity at the benefit of reducing cost. And I, as an artist, get paid because if enough people buy it over time, I'll end up making decent money for that particular piece. Like I could charge $100 for an illustration, or I could, for one person, or I could charge $5 for this illustration, and if 20 people use it, I end up breaking even. It's the same amount of money, but there's potential for more than just 20 people using that piece of stock art over time. If 50 people use it over time, then I'm going to make $250 instead of $100. So it was a good business decision at that point. So the stock art has to be generic enough to have general audience appeal, so that you'll have a potential audience, a number of clients over time that'll buy enough of your art for it to be more profitable than it would have been individually. Paizo, Wizards, etc. They own the right to the art. They actually purchase ownership of the art along with the art. But when it's only like, say, $1,000 or $800, and you put 60 hours worth of work into it, it's like that is not enough money for me to make a living off of. That's what the problem becomes. So a solution is stock art, by mass producing art that other people can purchase and make use of. But it's generic, you don't have any kind of real control over what, like, how's it going to be used. The market already has a ton of, elven archers. There's a lot of elven archer art out there already. Why do I need yours? Well, maybe I don't. Transform. Flip horizontal. Skew. Pinch, curve, more skew, more warp, this is going to be a nightmare to get right. that in. More warp. Distort. And then transform. And then distort a little bit more. Warp. Obviously, that looks like ass. That's okay. Doesn't matter right now. Transform, flip horizontal. Paste, transform, flip horizontal. That's going to end up being enough. That will, when it's done properly, it'll be enough. That's enough detail that I won't have to, like, I want to do a little bit of highlighting and shadow and stuff. But as far as structure, like line art being established, that's going to be dense enough for the dome, for this level. Now I need to worry about these towers and this curve shape here. As long as we just keep up changing the type of patterning on it, it should be enough. It should be dense enough information that your eye just accepts it. Let's grab that. Let's merge all that down. I want to drop the intensity on it to not overwhelm. What's up? And the soul screams, make art and make games. Yeah, it does. Absolutely. Surprised the usefulness of stock art is how many people will like it rather than how all-purpose it is. It's kind of, you know, it's there's the aesthetics and then there's the practicality, you know. Let's see, we need to do something. I'm thinking things through, don't mind me. Let's grab that color. There, establishing that. Game design last night was a lot of fun. Building an Echo Knight athlete for Mage Tower, that was a ton of fun. Echo Knights are really cool. They're I can't actually include Echo Knights in any of my actual supplements because the Echo Knight is not. It's that's a Critical Role. It's owned by Critical Role, not necessarily Wizard of the Coast. So I can't include Echo Knights in any of the DMsGuild stuff that I build, but I can do a free access on my Patreon. I can do a fan content that isn't behind a paywall. So I will eventually, when I have time, complete. Once I get the martial power system established, I'll then be able to add the Echo Knight to it, and then be able to do little design things like that. But I like the Echo Knight. I think it's a great subclass option for Mage Tower in general because they're so mobile. Oh, that just works. I like that. And then that's concealed by the foliage, which is great. Before I get carried away, I need to have a actually I don't need a buttress there. What I probably end up needing to do probably gonna end up doing something like this. I'm not there yet, but I feel like this is where we're going to get to. Hey, what's up? I keep thinking about what WebDM said in one of the videos about the Fae and how to use them in games and how there aren't enough Fae in the game. And I do think part of that issue is that some of them have to be races like elves and dwarves. Oh, like that you include elves and dwarves as a playable race? I remember you were talking about that, I think, on Indestructiboy's channel. Yeah, the DM has the right to limit what species your characters can play. Absolutely. Like that's not even a question. Like in the campaign that I'm running for my home table right now, the only races that are allowed is dwarf, gnome, and warforged. And they don't know anything about humans or elves or dragonborn. Those are unavailable species for them to choose. So I can make them. I can make humans complete abominations if I want to. They don't have access to them as a race. They don't have any cultural input on them. So yeah, it's easy for you to establish flavor through limiting options. And that's not something that people consider a lot, but by limiting what your players can do, you create a ours versus theirs dynamic, so that if you can't play an orc, it's easy to make orcs the enemy. If you can't play dragons, it's easy to make dragons the enemy. Like that's just you know, basic human nature stuff. That's pretty easy to pull off. Now I'm feeling like this tower really is too wide over here, that I need to bring it in. Like this patterning that we're building on these towers is revealing how out of proportion this tower back here really is, which is great news. We needed to figure that out, but for now we're going to not include it in our patterning. Yeah, it feels pretty good. 7:46. Yeah, we got about 10 minutes left today. We're doing okay. Okay, let's add in another layer. 1, 2, 3. Okay. You can do like that. Do like that. Sorry, I'm in my head a little bit because I'm messing around with patterns and stuff. It's not necessarily. There's a lot more focus and concentration going on here than what I normally appreciate having. So sorry for the silence. I'm more thinking about what Fae were talking about. Oh, they were talking about how Fae are supposed to be in the spirit of the world and all, but there's not as diverse as they could be. Oh, I see what you're saying. Because there's like only. Well, I mean, there's a lot. I mean, you can come up with as many Fae as you want. Midsummer Night's Dream by Shakespeare gives you a little bit of an idea of elves, but I think honestly for me, Dresden Files is the best reference that I have for spirit folk and the way that they operate, and from a role-playing game perspective. If you haven't read the Dresden Files or listened to them on an audiobook, they're completely worth your time. But the summer court and the winter court and the different types of creatures that are in them, like ogres are summer court, while trolls are winter court, for example. Red caps are winter courts, while pixies are summer court. Some of them can be like pixies, like fairy in general, like just a fairy, like a grig would be summer court because it's like a grasshopper, right? But you could have like methods, like different type of methods you could include if you broaden your perspective from a D&D, using D&D as a lexicon. You could broaden what creatures in the monster manual you consider. Like goblins are considered Fae now. Goblins are generic enough that they'd be both summer and winter court. But like gremlins, that could be summer. I could see gremlins being summer court. little bit of patterning locks in the rest of it with it. That's not horrible. It's not great. There. Since the trees cover so much, I don't have to really worry about all the details here, but these are basically giant bay windows that I don't have to account for. Again, we're getting close to the point where your eye is going to hit density. It's like, yeah, that's enough details. Like these bay windows down here, for the amount that's poking through the tree line, that's enough. This line here, that's enough. Up on the dome, that's enough. This center band here, though, this doesn't feel like it's enough. But I'm not convinced yet what it needs to be. Maybe these circles and diamonds would be a decent way to go. Dome, walls, tower, bend, bay. I like the idea of those domes, but that's not what we need to worry with ourselves about right now. I don't think I want to have. Yeah, I don't think this is the right idea. We're gonna get rid of that. I'm gonna try something different with those. I do like the idea of having the bands here defining floors. So let's keep with that. Something more like that. So that probably means that these need to drop. Come on, what is going on? Yeah, I think that's the right way to do that. That's front. No, I don't think I necessarily want to do that. Maybe I do. Hold on. Like that. Now we're back to the checker pattern that we just got rid of. Why do I keep gravitating to this checker pattern? Because it's an easy way to show radial the radial turn. Not enough of them, pretty much. The towers of the floors, I imagine, when... yeah. Lots of labs. Not to mention all the underground levels, like the archives and stuff like that as well. Nope, we don't need to do it like that. Let's stick with what we're doing. I like the idea of having windows up here towards the top of the tower. But as we go further down the tower, I'm less in favor of it. Alright, I got like a minute or two left. The banding feels right. We could do banding like this. Oh, that's not a bad idea. Ooh. I don't hate that. Let's do that. We can, yeah, we can go here, so we can have 3 levels of windows here, and then we can just do bands like this, like reinforced buttresses. Brick texture. Transform. Flip horizontal. Transform. Transform. Free transform. That is enough visual details that once I get the lighting and the shadow, once I correct the geometry, get the light, get the highlights, and then the shadows in their proper positions. The tower, this top row here, the dome, down here, that's all enough color, that's all enough density that the eye will be content with giving up. I'm not 100% on this triangle circle pattern thing that I've going on inside of here. I'm iffy about that. I could leave it blank just so the eye has something to rest on. That doesn't hurt. What about all of this? What if I let that go? And just have buttresses. That's probably low enough detail here to let the eye rest, because we want resting spots. I've got too much detail going on, so I think what I need to do is probably just have shingles. Yeah, we just need shingles here. simple shingling pattern will end up working. Did not realize you were in the same layer. Thank you, sir. This is not the way to do this. We've got shingles. We can do shingles. I know that. This is just not the way to do it. But I just wanted to create some texture in here real quick, because I think just a little bit of texturing is going to end up making this feel really, really good. Just a rough, simple texture breaks up the monotony of the flat plane of color, and then your eye will accept it more easily. Yeah, we're just trying to get the eye to give up and accept what it is that we're doing. I don't want to mess around with that. That tower's got to change. But yeah, that will be enough. Once we get our proportions right, that'll be sufficient. So there we are. So that's what our detail is going to look like. Once we clean that up, we also need to put little domes on the caps here, like little micro domes like this, but they can be similar in their patterning. This tower's got to get fixed, because that guy is like way wrong back here right now. We'll fix that one. Yeah, this is good. This will be good. Because your muse is telling you to make windows. I don't think it looks good. Maybe my movie mind is telling lies, but I don't think it looks good. Oh, okay, well, thanks for the feedback. I mean, it's wrong. You know, all the proportions are wrong and stuff, but I think that I like those bay windows. I like that wavy pattern up there. Oh, just the shingles? Is that all you're talking about? This stuff here? No, yeah, that's the wrong way to do it. But a shingling pattern once I get it, like once I get a proper, yeah. No, that's fair. That's very fair. I think shingles is the right answer, but that's the wrong way to express them. Like that, I just did that to create texture, just to be able to break up the solid shape of it. I don't want to just sit. I want some sort of texture in here. Maybe more like concrete, like a modeled concrete effect. Shingles feels right, but I actually need to like actually put in the shingles, not just wavy, choppy line stuff. On the other hand, leaving it blank like that is a nice rest, because we have texture going on here, we've got patterning going on here. This being a blank space might actually be a decent place to leave the eye blank. You might be onto something there, Rel. Maybe I do need to leave that blank. There's going to be lighting that we'll have subtle gradations for. Yeah, I'm going to leave that blank for now. We'll see. We'll see what that manifests. I think it's better than this. And that just feels busy. Like there's a fine point between like detail and busyness, you know? And I feel like this is pushing into busyness. And then maybe if I leave the domes simple without too much wavy complexity to it, maybe that'll feel decent. I think you're right, Will. I think you're right. Yeah, I'm just going to do some very subtle gradation, like lower lighting here, a little bit of highlighting up here, just to blend it in a little bit better. I think you're right, though. I think that needs to stay blank. Good talk, Rel. Appreciate you, my man. All right, that's it. I got to go. It is time for me. Yeah, I'm late. It's time for me to bounce. I'll be back. This is Friday. I'm going to be back at lunch in about 6.5 hours. We're going to build another Strixhaven Mage Tower Athlete. And then I'll be done for the day. And then I'll be back on Monday. So, right on, man. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Cheers.